Good evening. The victim was just 16 years old, and tonight Hamilton police say they're searching for two suspects in connection with his death. One of whom is a 14-year-old boy who they believe fired the fatal shot inside a busy shopping mall in the city's core early Friday evening. A day after a fatal shooting inside Jackson Square Mall in Hamilton, police have identified the victim as 16-year-old Nabil Askafi, a recent immigrant from Syria.
This is a heartbreaking tragedy that deeply impacts family, friends, and the entire Hamilton community.
It was shortly after 5 p.m. Friday when shots were fired inside the mall. However, police say the incident started before that. Askafi was found with life-threatening injuries and later died in hospital.
As far as we know, and this is through video surveillance, the victim was on King Street near Hess and was walking towards the mall. There was a small interaction with the two others involved, which continued into the mall.
Investigators are still looking for two suspects who fled the scene. One of them is yet to be identified. Police say the second is a 14-year-old boy, and he is the one police believe shot and killed Askafi.
We are currently seeking judicial authorization to release his name and photo.
The suspect is facing a second-degree murder charge. Police are asking anyone with information to contact police. Back here in the city, Toronto police are looking for three suspects after a 30-year-old man was shot and killed last night in Etobicoke. It happened in a residential area near Weston Road in Lawrence.
The victim has been identified. His name is Ahmed Noor Ishmael. His surname is Ishmael. He's 30 years of age, and he is a resident of the city of Toronto.
It happened near Scarlett Road in Scarlett Wood Court shortly after 10 p.m. Investigators say the victim was sitting inside a vehicle when he was struck by multiple gunshots. He was rushed to hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Police were called to the area. Police were called to the area of Scarlett Road and Scarlett Wood Court just after 10 p.m. for sounds of gunshots. Officers located a male victim with gunshot wounds and performed life-saving measures. He was transported to hospital via emergency run with life-threatening injuries. So far, no information on suspects. A motorcyclist was rushed to hospital after a crash in Mississauga this afternoon. It happened just after 1 o'clock at Eglinton Avenue and Terry Fox Way. Police say a motorcycle and car collided. The driver of the motorcycle was rushed to hospital with what were originally described as life-threatening injuries. Police later said the motorcyclist was expected to survive. The driver of the car remained at the scene. Roads in the area were closed while police investigated. A woman is in hospital after a vehicle crashed into a bus shelter in Etobicoke. The collision happened shortly before 8:30 this morning near the West Mall and Rathburn Road. Police say a 53-year-old woman was injured and taken to hospital in serious condition. There's no word yet on what led to the crash or if any charges will be laid. Peel police are investigating a late-night collision that critically injured a pedestrian. The person was struck just after 11 p.m. as they crossed near Queen Street East near Bramley Road in Brampton. They were rushed to hospital for treatment with what were said to be critical injuries. Police say the driver remained on scene. So far, no word on any possible charges. And in Markham, police are investigating after a cyclist was struck by a vehicle last night. It happened at 16th Avenue and Kennedy Road just before 10 p.m. Police say the victim was taken to hospital in serious condition. Anyone who witnessed the incident is asked to contact York Regional Police. York Regional Police say their hate crime unit is investigating an incident this morning at an Orthodox synagogue in Thornhill. Police say a suspect tried to force his way into the Sephardic Kehillah Center on Bathurst, just north of Steeles, at around 9:30 a.m. They later shared this image of the man who is accused of assaulting a victim before leaving the scene. That victim wasn't hurt. Vaughan's mayor called the incident deeply disturbing, thanking York Regional Police for their investigative efforts. Stephen Del Duca said, at a time when anti-Semitism and Jew hatred is on the rise, we must be vigilant and do everything possible to support and protect our Jewish residents. He also asked anyone with information to contact police. Still ahead, protests across the province today in opposition to moves made by the Premier and the provincial government. We'll take you to the Toronto event to hear what the people had to say taking to the streets. Well, we'll have more news in a moment, but first here's a live look at the city this hour. You can see the wind still whipping around. That's been a story throughout the day. The good news is the bulk of the active weather has now passed. Let's take a look at the satellite radar. You can see what I'm talking about. You can see most of the system has made its way east past Clarington through the Kingston area. That was wreaking havoc across the GTA, but now, as I mentioned, it has passed. Winds continue to be a bit of a factor, but mainly in the Hamilton-Niagara Falls area. Niagara Falls still dealing with 33 km per hour winds. In Toronto, significantly lighter, just 17 kilometers per hour. From a temperature perspective, a number of areas still flirting with the double digits. Windsor 11 degrees, London 10 degrees, Ottawa still at a comfortable 14 degrees. At the islands right now, cloudy and 9 degrees. Pearson Airport, a little bit of sun still peeking out. Our overnight low tonight, 2 degrees. That is significantly below normal. However, we are in for a great couple of days coming up, including a beautiful day tomorrow. All those details coming up in the newscast. Well, still with the weather, residents of Rockcliffe-Smyth get water and sewage in their basements so often, the residents have taken to calling their neighborhood the most flooded in the city.
As John Woodward reports, while the city works on a solution to the overwhelmed infrastructure, they're doing what they can on their own.
The neighborhood of Rockcliffe-Smyth is used to coming together to help each other out during a flood.
We are living in constant harm from failed infrastructure.
Homes here have flooded at least 4 times since 2013. At one point, a bus was nearly submerged. In 2018, these two were trapped in a submerged elevator. All this has residents calling their neighborhood the most flooded neighborhood in Toronto.
We've been there since the 70s. And nothing has changed.
This is my house on December 29th.
Sarah McVeigh's house has flooded many times, she says, so she is one of the organizers of the Flooded Block Party to pass on best practices of maintaining a sump pump and having a generator as a backup power supply and using remote flood alarms. They even had a demonstration of how to use a sump pump.
Folks, we got to get more sump pumps.
The neighborhood is more and more vulnerable because more development upstream has led to more water in the sewage system, says flood engineer Tim Meru.
Over the years, that land has developed and intensified, and as that has occurred, more and more water has found its way to this creek.
The city, with money from the feds, is embarking on a $300 million plan to widen Black Creek so it can handle major storm surges, something that will require larger bridges and an ambitious plan that will take some 3 to 4 years.
Wider rivers, streams, wider bridges, wider culverts, so water can flow and not get into your basement or on the road.
But Meru is concerned his modeling shows a major choke point won't be addressed.
And by creating this new bigger channel, all you really do is create a stronger hydraulic choke.
Which could mean some flooding will continue even after all this work.
The city's still moving it into design.
He says he's taken his concerns to the city.
We're living in an increasingly dangerous concrete bathtub.
A bathtub she hopes the city finds a way to drain the right way. John Woodward, CTV News.
The City of Toronto told CTV News in a statement late today that they stand by their flood mitigation design.
Protesters gathered in cities and towns across the province today to rally against the Ford government. In Toronto, demonstrators came together outside Queen's Park for what was dubbed a Fighting Ford protest. Those in the crowd are upset with moves by the province that include cutting OSAP grants, closing supervised injection sites, and getting rid of speed cameras. Protesters are also accusing the government of meddling in Toronto's municipal affairs.
There's no consultation. He does what he wants, and we're over it.
I love the city. I've been living here for a very long time. I don't think he should be able to do what he wants. He needs to leave us alone. The islands are my favorite place in the world. It's a heritage spot. Hanlon's Point is a heritage spot. He needs to leave it alone.
We aren't able to see a future in ourselves and see a future for our education, that we want to go to university and we want to be able to get jobs and get careers, but Ford isn't allowing us to.
The rally in Toronto was one of more than 50 protests that were scheduled to be held across the province today.
Getting in and out of the core this weekend could be a challenge as a stretch of the Gardiner Expressway has been closed for annual spring maintenance. This is a live look at the Gardiner Expressway. The shutdown from Humber River to Spadina Avenue will go on until 5 a.m. Monday. The city says progress was made today on things like structural inspections, preparing for paving, and catch basin cleaning today. But drivers are being urged to allow extra time and consider taking transit. The closure comes as both the Raptors and the Blue Jays are playing at home this weekend, adding to what's already expected to be a very busy downtown this weekend. And there are some transit disruptions as well. If you're planning to take the subway tonight, be aware that Line 2 trains are not running today between Kipling and Jane stations to allow for planned station work. Shuttle buses will operate instead with regular service back tomorrow morning. And road closures will be in effect downtown tomorrow for Khalsa Day celebrations. The annual event is marked by Sikhs as part of their New Year festivities. It includes a parade that will begin at Nathan Phillips Square around 1:30 in the afternoon. However, parts of Queen Street will be shut down starting at 4 a.m. and won't reopen until 8 p.m. Police say drivers and TTC riders may experience delays in the area. Cultural Day is the largest Sikh celebration in Canada. As he visits several communities in the GTHA, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre joined CP24 this afternoon. He renewed his call for more federal relief in the face of soaring fuel prices.
Gas prices are about 15% higher in Canada under Mark Carney than they are in the United States. So what explains the gap? The Americans have high global oil prices as well. The difference is Liberal taxes. There are 3 federal Liberal taxes on gas. There's the 10-cent excise tax, there's the new Liberal carbon tax, which they call the fuel standard, and then there's the GST, which applies not only on the fuel but also on the taxes. It's a tax on the tax. The Liberals have agreed, under pressure from the Conservative Party, to temporarily suspend only one of those 3 taxes. We want to get rid of all 3 federal Liberal gas taxes for the rest of the year, 0 tax on gas for the rest of the year, so that Canadians can afford to gas up at the pumps. They'll save about 25 cents a litre. They'll save about $20 a fill up and $1,200 total between now and Christmas. It'll also save them on groceries because, of course, when you lower the price of fuel for farmers and truckers who bring us food, you lower the price of food itself. So we need affordable food, affordable fuel, affordable homes, and the best place to start is 0 tax on fuel.
The federal government has said it's looking to lighten the load on grocery bills by introducing new groceries and essentials benefit for low-income families. It'll replace the GST-HST credit in July. In his interview today, the Conservative leader also weighed in on Canada's trade strategy with the United States, the new Liberal majority in Parliament, and his party's message to voters in the GTHA. You can watch the full interview on CP24's website.
A federal judge has granted a last-minute reprieve from deportation for the truck driver responsible for the deadly Humboldt Broncos bus crash. Lawyers for Jaskirat Singh Sidhu appeared in federal court on Friday in a bid to stop his departure to India, which had been scheduled for Monday morning. Sidhu, a rookie Calgary truck driver, ran a stop sign and drove into the path of a bus carrying the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League team at a rural intersection in Saskatchewan in 2018, which left 16 people dead and 13 others injured. Looking further west, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has issued an apology to the BC community of Tumbler Ridge after failing to alert police about the shooter's concerning use of ChatGPT. Altman wrote, "I'm deeply sorry that we did not alert law enforcement to the account that was banned in June. Back in February, an 18-year-old shooter opened fire at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School, killing 8 people, including 6 children, before taking her own life." OpenAI, the tech company behind ChatGPT, was criticized after it was revealed that the shooter's account was flagged for violating policies, but authorities were never informed.
Back in Ottawa, the federal New Democrats are expected to lose another member, leaving them with only 5 seats in Parliament. Sources told CTV's Bell Media partner Novo Info Quebec MP Alexandre Boularice will resign from Parliament and quit the NDP so he can run for a provincial party. That step would also leave the NDP with no MPs from the province. He's expected to officially announce his resignation on Monday. As trade tensions with the U.S. take center stage once again, top Trump administration officials have called out Canada's handling of the relationship.
They say the move by several provinces to take American alcohol off the shelves is a major irritant. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew says that's exactly what they were going for.
If Donald Trump quits it with the tariffs, probably one of the worst economic policies he's advanced, which is quite a list to be on the top of, I will say, then yeah, we'd look at bringing the American booze back. But for now, this is an effective card that we have at the negotiating table. And the fact that you have Trump's acolytes throwing their tantrums as they do, it tells you that it's working. So why would we stop something that's clearly working and having an effect and driving some people that don't share our values a little wild?
Asked about those irritants this week, Prime Minister Mark Carney said Canada has its own issues with the Americans, notably the Trump administration's tariffs. Premiers across Canada have largely stood together in boycotting U.S. alcohol, with Alberta and Saskatchewan being the only exceptions.
Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum yesterday, according to a press release from his office. The leaders discussed the upcoming CUSMA review, agreeing to work in close coordination to address shared economic priorities and challenges. Analysts have been keeping a close eye on the dynamics between Canada, the U.S., and Mexico as the White House signals trade talks are off to a better start with Sheinbaum's administration than the Carney government.
Some people are making a great deal of the fact that Mexico has already initiated trade discussions with the United States. Others say, great, let them go first, because goodness knows Donald Trump's position politically appears to be weakening as he closes in on the midterms with the war in Iran and gas and grocery prices soaring. Perhaps we gain political advantage by going second, but we can't know that. And so I think, the effort to say, let's stay in close contact, Mexico and Canada. Let's make certain that we're preserving our mutual interests, because at the end of the day, we are both battling one big monster in the White House. At the end of the day, both Canada and the United States are faced with the bullying and the belligerence of Donald Trump. That's what brings us together in common interest, and that is almost certain to persevere throughout these talks.
The statement said the PM and Mexico's president also discussed ties in areas like critical minerals, clean technologies, energy, and advanced manufacturing.
Now to the latest out of the Middle East. Peace talks between U.S. and Iranian officials that were expected to take place this weekend are no longer on the agenda.
CTV's Jeremy Charon reports.
A new round of peace talks set for Pakistan this weekend appear to have failed. U.S. President Donald Trump called off the American envoy set to travel to Islamabad today. "I just canceled the trip," said Trump in a midday social media post. "Too much time wasted on traveling. If they want to talk, all they have to do is call."
It's not a surprise. Both sides have been very far apart.
Two of Trump's top advisors, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, were set to make the trip to engage in talks aimed at ending the war. Iran's foreign minister met with Pakistani officials today who have been mediating talks, but has since left the country. Iran has said its negotiators won't meet directly with U.S. officials under the current circumstances.
This is looking more and more like a powder keg, and hopefully both sides can return to the negotiating table as quickly as possible before this really becomes undone.
Meanwhile, as the conflict continues, Canadian officials said this week they've increased their monitoring of Tehran's threats against members of the Iranian diaspora in Canada.
Intimidating activists abroad, pressuring families inside Iran, and monitoring diaspora communities and attempting to silence.
Kaveh Shakouri helps Iranian refugees in Ottawa.
People are receiving threatening text messages, anonymous calls, or even online harassments just for being active or speaking out in the community.
Members of the Iranian community in Ottawa say speaking out against the regime during these times has come at a serious cost.
Someone here has to think twice before speaking because of their family. This could really face consequences as an activist or in Iran.
Last month, the Canada Border Services Agency said it received about 280 tips about individuals in Canada with alleged ties to the Iranian regime. Jeremy Charon, CTV News, Ottawa.
In Lebanon, explosions could be seen in the south along the border with Israel today, despite an extension of a ceasefire agreement between the two countries. Israel and Hezbollah have continued to trade blows in southern Lebanon in an area Israel calls a buffer zone where its soldiers have been stationed. The Lebanese Health Ministry says nearly 2,500 people have been killed in the country since March 2nd.
Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and part of Gaza voted in municipal elections today.
Today is a victory for Palestinian democracy. People are overcoming difficult circumstances and sending a message to the world that they deserve to live and vote.
They're the first Palestinian election since the war with Israel began more than 2 years ago. Analysts say these local elections could open the door to the first national vote in nearly 2 decades. They say it could also help advance reforms aimed at improving transparency and accountability, changes the Palestinian Authority says are already well underway.
Russian drone and missile strikes on Ukraine continued overnight, with authorities in one city reporting at least 7 people killed and dozens hurt. 4 bodies were found under the ruins of a destroyed house as several residential buildings, businesses, and homes were destroyed in Dnipro. That's according to the region's governor. 2 people were also hurt in overnight drone attacks on the Odessa region. The strikes followed a prisoner swap Friday where Russia and Ukraine exchanged 193 service members.
Pope Leo condemned capital punishment for a second day in a row as the U.S. Justice Department moves to bring back death by firing squad as a method of execution.
This is why Pope Francis and my recent predecessors repeatedly insisted that the common good can be safeguarded and the requirements of justice can be met without recourse to capital punishment.
On Friday, Pope Leo called for its abolition in the United States. His comments come as the Trump administration moves ahead with resuming the practice following a federal moratorium. The U.S. Department of Justice is also reauthorizing the use of lethal injections after the Biden administration removed the method over concerns it could cause unnecessary pain and suffering.
On a much lighter note, 150 corgis gathered for a competition in Prague today, taking part in Olympic-style events to figure out who was top dog. One of the main events was the 100-meter dash. The fastest corgi completed the race in 8.9 seconds. For context, the men's world record for that distance set by Usain Bolt is 9.59 seconds. I'm not sure how accurate this is. Other dogs competed in a best dress competition with many dressed to match their owners, including everything from wedding attire to hot dogs. Fast corgi. Still ahead, we're only days away from income tax deadline day.
And if you haven't filed yet, we have some things you might want to consider.
Missing, claims that they can make because they can't find the receipts.
We'll hear from an expert about the deductions people often overlook and the best ways to get more of your money back.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Welcome back. Well, they said it'd never be done. You and me on the desk back together.
Here we did it, huh? Feels great, huh?
Feels great. It's good to have you here.
Good to be here.
There you go.
And it's been nice outside, but it's that time of year where, you get some cold, you get some sun. It looks like it's going to be a nice day. It's too cold. And then you wake up a day like today and it's just rainy.
Well, I live in a condo. And so for us, it's like if you do the seasonal clothing change, because you can't have everything in your house, if you change it too early, then you're screwed. Because then, like you mentioned, right, you have the rain, you still got warm one day and stuff like that. You live in a mansion, you're okay.
It's the condo version of snow tires, right?
Exactly. I still have mine on, by the way. It's good.
My mansion, my butler told me about the weather today. It was another gray and rainy day out there. Environment Canada climatologist Dave Phillips said that we shouldn't expect the start of May to bring a big change to the weather like we've been seeing lately.
We're going to start May again on a little bit more like April-like. We see this weather kind of patient, and you have to be patient. It's just it's almost like, sometimes spring lasts weeks. This year, it's lasting months. I mean, March, April, and first part of May. I think when I look at the forecast ahead and I'm looking for some good news, I see that long weekend in May. So about the middle of May, we see a persistent warming coming up.
Middle of May, that's right. Phillips says we can expect more temperatures going down in the coming weeks. While the temperatures may have felt cool lately, it's more so because we've had so much cloud cover and not as much sun as we'd normally expect.
The good news is there is going to be a fair bit of sun tomorrow, and good news for the Council Day Parade because plenty of sunshine and 12 degrees at around 1 p.m. when the parade takes place. Mainly sunny conditions, also light. So let's talk temperatures. Right now, 10 degrees in Toronto, 13 in Muskoka, still 11 degrees south in Windsor. Here's your evening at a glance. It's going to be a cool evening, but as we talked about earlier, the bulk of the precipitation has passed. Still a 30% chance of showers around 7 p.m. By 9 p.m., 6 degrees and cloudy. Tonight's lows, excuse me, 2 degrees, well below normal for this time of year. Our overnight low would be 6 degrees. As we wake up tomorrow, we start to warm up by 9 a.m., 6 degrees, mainly sunny and a light wind, and we continue to warm up. Everyone is right and around the neighborhood of where they should be tomorrow, around normal. Our daytime high, 14 degrees. Bancroft, 16 degrees will be their high tomorrow. I want to show you the forecast radar because while there is not a lot happening over the next 48 hours as we continue to roll this through, you can see that when we hit Tuesday, that is when we could get another round of showers. So Sunday, Monday, looking like beautiful days, and then we could get some more wet weather on Tuesday morning for your morning commute. And you'll see that right here in your 7-day forecast. So Sunday, Monday, beautiful highs of 14 degrees with sunshine, similar conditions and from a temperature perspective on Tuesday, but then we welcome in those showers, and you start to see a bit of a drop in those overnight lows as well as we make our way through the week, all the way down to just an overnight low of 2 degrees on Friday, which is also the first day of May. So we can start to see the temperatures are a little more consistent for those daytime highs. But as Sean mentioned, we're still in that yo-yo phase where we get a little bit of sunshine one day, we get the showers next day. So you have to pack and dress for a little bit of everything. Well, as temperatures trend upwards, U.S. experts say tick season is already off to an unusually fast start.
There was a brief spike in adult tick activity, specifically black-legged tick activity here in southern New England, and we suspect that it was largely due to that warm spell we had for about a week or so on the heels of a very cold winter. So the ticks become active during that period. People get outside because they're sick of being cooped up.
Some ticks can spread infections like Lyme disease. A U.S. tracking system shows weekly rates of ER visits linked to tick bites are at their highest levels for this time of year since 2017.
Pizza kits sold at Costco Canada is being recalled due to the potential for mold growth. The company says the kits were sold in stores and online between December 2025 and this month. The recall applies specifically to Gino Bambino gluten-free pizza kits with the best before dates of April 22nd and April 28th. According to manufacturer Molinaro's Fine Italian Foods, Costco advises affected customers to return the pizzas to a Costco warehouse for a refund.
Smoking is generally banned in the indoor spaces, but a new ruling out of Quebec is carving out a very specific exemption to that rule. The Quebec Court of Appeal says actors are allowed to smoke cigarettes during their performances on stage, and the province's law banning smoking indoors infringes on their freedom of artistic expression. The ruling follows a year-long legal fight launched by 3 theatre companies in Quebec who'd faced fines for actors smoking on stage. The province has 60 days to decide whether or not it will appeal the decision to the Supreme Court of Canada.
This year's income tax deadline is nearly upon us.
As last-minute filers rush to get their taxes done before April 30th, experts say there are some deductions people often miss, and they may be handing over more money to the government than they need to. Here's CTV's John Venevali-Rao.
It is tax season, and we need to talk about taxes.
Online, all sorts of tax tips are offered up.
I somehow managed to reduce my taxes by like over $2,000.
With the filing deadline fast approaching.
Have you filed your income taxes yet? Yes, sir. Right away. They owed me money.
And the #1 tip from experts, make sure you file by April 30th, because there's a late penalty of 5% on the balance owing, plus 1% for every additional month you delay up to a year.
If you have a balance owing on your tax return, the deadline is really important.
Tax expert Jerry Vitarato says the biggest change this year was the new lower tax rate on the lowest tax bracket, which will save the average filer $110. When it comes to credits and deductions, the tax system is more than 400. Among the medical expenses people forget to claim, prescription sunglasses. And when it comes to couples and charitable giving, it's usually best to have the highest earning spouse claim all of the donations.
If you bought your first home last year, you can claim it on your taxes.
First-time home buyers are reminded they can get a federal tax credit of up to $1,500. And experts say some don't realize if they moved for work or school, they can potentially deduct moving costs.
As long as they move 40 kilometers closer, you could actually deduct a lot of these moving expenses, including commission to sell your home, to get another home closer to your work, things like that.
Federato says the biggest problem he sees is that people forget to keep receipts for things like charitable donations, certain medical and childcare expenses, which should be kept in a box or folder.
The biggest mistake that people make is that they're just missing receipts. They're missing, claims that they can make because they can't find the receipts.
Meanwhile, if the government owes you money, you can ignore the filing deadline, but experts say it's best to get it done as soon as possible and use the refund to pay down debt or invest. John Venevali-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Still to come tonight,
setting students up for success.
We focus on the success skills that are so critical
So math and science are great, but leadership skills really complete the equation.
We'll introduce you to a program aimed at improving leadership opportunities for Black youth in Canada. Stay with us.
This is a heartbreaking tragedy that deeply impacts family, friends, and the entire Hamilton community.
Updating our top story, Hamilton police have identified the victim of yesterday's fatal shooting inside Jackson Square Mall as a 16-year-old Nabil Escafe, a recent immigrant from Syria. The shooting happened just after 5 yesterday. Today, police announced they are looking for a 14-year-old boy in connection with the shooting.
We know at this time we're looking for 3 unknown suspects. 3 unknown suspects entered Scarlet Wood Court and engaged in gunfire at the victim and his vehicle.
Toronto police have identified a 30-year-old man as the victim in a fatal shooting last night in Etobicoke. Police say Ahmed Noor Ismail was shot and killed just after 10 o'clock last night while sitting in his car near Scarlet Road and Scarlet Wood Court. Ismail was rushed to hospital but later pronounced dead.
We are living in constant harm from failed infrastructure.
And residents of one Toronto neighborhood held a flooded block party today, a way to bring awareness to a problem they say has plagued their neighborhood for years. People in Rockcliffe-Smyth have dubbed their neighborhood the most flooded neighborhood in the city. The purpose of today's gathering was to pass on best practices, including maintaining a sump pump, having a generator as a backup power supply, and using remote flood alarms.
Remember, keep up to date day and night through our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca, and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, please let us know. A small but powerful program is making a big difference for Black youth in Canada, and most people haven't even heard of it. CTV's Carol Charles has the story.
After high school, I plan to pursue management, science, and engineering.
A group of young people are focused and looking to the future.
Peter, thank you for furthering our understanding of democracy and so generously sharing.
Since 2013, the Lifelong Leadership Institute has been helping Jamaican, Canadian, and other Black students grow as leaders, succeed in school, and build their confidence for their future.
We should have impact in the city government and politics, in the world of commerce. This is really important to us.
The Institute was created to tackle a big question: how can Black youth better access opportunities? That's where its main program, Leadership by Design, comes in. It's an after-school program where students build leadership skills.
We simply enhance the experience for the students. We focus on the success skills that are so critical. So math and science are great, but leadership skills really complete the equation.
And that includes learning from each other, connecting with mentors, and hearing directly from professionals in successful careers.
At LBD, we've met so many amazing people throughout the program, world leaders in tech, engineering, medicine, even Nelson Mandela's great-grandson, right?
These real-world insights help students see what's possible and how to get there.
I'm very interested in neuroscience, so I want to be a neurosurgeon in the future.
McDonald's interest in medicine began in grade 6 after she was diagnosed with papilledema, a condition that causes swelling in the optic nerves. Wanting to understand it, she began researching it herself. That curiosity later led to a research placement at Sick Kids Hospital through the Leadership by Design program.
I learned so much about microbiology and even how holograms were made. Just these very hands-on activities that really made myself feel embraced.
Grade 12 student Ifechu Okwagu will be attending the University of Toronto, studying mathematics and economics.
Access to a lot of opportunities is often shaped by financial circumstances and the policies that are shaping different groups, and that's something that I hope to be able to change in the future.
What started with just 24 grade 10 students has grown into a program serving more than 140 students each year. Today, it offers learning in STEM, entrepreneurship, the arts, civic engagement, and leadership.
There's nothing nicer than seeing students who you met when they're much younger and seeing them on a path to their success.
Now that impact is getting wider recognition. The institute will receive the Chancellor's Award from the University of the West Indies at its annual gala this weekend for its work transforming the lives of young people in Canada. The Leadership by Design program marks its 10th year as students return this fall, an experience that continues to be both impactful and rewarding. Carol Charles, CTV News.
U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to attend the White House Correspondents' Dinner for the first time as Commander-in-Chief tonight. Instead of a comedian, the entertainment for the evening will be provided by mentalist Oz Perlman.
Nothing has been written in stone that I'm going to get to perform for him. I hope to. I hope that I'll want to take part because honestly, he is at his core an ultimate showman.
The event is traditionally meant as a celebration of the U.S. First Amendment, protecting the press from government restrictions. Trump has often aimed his ire at the media, so many observers are watching to see how the evening plays out, what he says in his remarks, and how long he stays.
Well, it's shaping up to be a busy weekend at the box office, and CTV's Andrea Case caught up with Richard Krause earlier this week for his take on what's new on the big screen.
The new Super Mario movie has been #1 at the box office for about 3 weeks now. Hasn't been a lot of movement at the box office, but apparently, according to those in the know, studio estimates, we might have a new #1 this weekend. Richard Krause joins us. Richard, they're saying this Michael Jackson biopic, Michael, could make up to $80 million in opening weekend. What do you think?
Yeah, that's domestically. They're saying that it could ultimately, eventually, top out at least $500 million. So it's a lot of money. It suggests that there's a lot of people out there that are interested in seeing a biography of Michael Jackson. And I will tell you this, that as biographies go, it's a pretty good concert film. Oh. Because I don't think that you're going to tune in to this movie and find out that much that you don't already know about Michael Jackson. So it starts in 1966. The Jackson 5 are rehearsing in their family living room under the guidance and the strict, like a Marine drill sergeant, guidance of Joseph Jackson, their father, played by Coleman Domingo, and they are whipping their act together. Eventually, they get signed to Motown. Eventually, Michael goes solo. The thing that is the standard throughout all of this, though, is that there's a lot of music, and the performances are great. Jafar Jackson, who is Michael Jackson's real-life nephew, trained for years to learn the moves and the dance moves and all that stuff, and that stuff really, really works well. But there isn't that much more in this film that I think will be surprising, that I think will have people shaking their heads. So I didn't know that. Now, Michael Jackson is one of the most documented people of the 20th century. So maybe 17 years after his passing, there isn't a lot of new material to mine. But I was hoping to find something here that I didn't know.
Richard, come on now. You saw the musical that came to town. They're never going to go there. They're just going to give us this. And if this is what you want, music, some of the story, then everyone's going to be happy now. And I think most people are going to be happy with this one. Okay.
I think you're probably right. It stops in 1988. At the height of the Bad tour in London, with kind of a tour de force performance from Jafar Jackson as his uncle on stage performing. So it ends on an up note.
Okay. Let's go to Fuse with Aaron Taylor Johnson. I like Aaron Taylor Johnson. So you have me in that one. But you also have Theo James in this, and Sam Worthington, and Gugu Mbatha-Raw. So this is a British film. Looks pretty good to me. If you like action, I guess this is where you're going this weekend.
Yep, this is all there is. This is a ticking time bomb. It is literally from the time the opening credits roll, the action kicks in, and there's nothing else. There's not really any characters. There's no one that you're going to really care about one way or the other, but that's okay, because the pedal is to the metal the entire time. Within 1 minute of the opening credits ending, they find a bomb, a giant World War II 1,000-pound unexploded bomb in the middle of London. And so they have to figure out, well, how do we get that out of here without taking out several city blocks? So that's one story. Meanwhile, not far away, 3 or 4 blocks away, there's a team of robbers that are breaking into a bank, and they are trying to steal diamonds and lots of cash and that kind of thing. And they are using all the activity around the search for the bomb as a cover. The ticking clock is ticking. You will edge closer to your seat. And if you don't think about this too much, you'll probably have a pretty good time at the movies. It's just an all-out action film. It's called Fuse, and it's in theaters this weekend.
Okay, real quick, The Bearded Girl. I watched the trailer for this, and I kind of almost shed a tear with this one.
Yeah. This is kind of a sweet, charming, but not particularly whimsical movie, which I thought that it might be given the trailer. But it is about a family of bearded women. The youngest one in the family is about to take over, except she doesn't really want to. So she leaves to strike out on her own and find a quote-unquote normal life. And she runs into complications and eventually has to decide what kind of life she wants to lead. And this is like a fairy tale, but it's grounded in reality. Jessica Paré is in here. We know her from Mad Men and lots of other things. And it's an unusual but really kind of interesting movie for young adults called The Bearded Girl, and it's in theaters this weekend.
Okay, so any woman of a certain age can kind of understand that because we start to grow hair as we get older. So we can all, understand this one. Richard Krause, thanks very much. Too much information, perhaps? Maybe. Coming up at 11:30, we'll talk about what's available on the small screen.
We'll see you then.
Well, speaking of Michael Jackson, some of his most recognizable stage pieces are set to go up for auction later this spring. Among the items going under the hammer are Jackson's famous gloves and a sequin jacket. The sale is part of a collection of about 50 memorabilia items, making one of the most significant auctions dedicated to the late King of Pop.
Let's talk some sports. The Blue Jays picked up a 5-3 win this afternoon over the Cleveland Guardians here at home. Meanwhile, the team's rotation, they're getting a boost with the return of Trey Savage. The 22-year-old will make his season debut on Tuesday against the Red Sox. Shoulder issues have kept Savage out of the Jays lineup so far. Still to come tonight.
What these two are doing is a perfect example that you should be doing something like this too. And not only you should, but you can.
Meet two seniors from Saskatchewan who are proving that you're never too old to pick up a new hobby, even if that new hobby weighs a lot. That story is after the break.
Finally tonight, two Saskatoon seniors are raising the bar when it comes to physical activity, proving age is just a number.
CTV's Allison Bamford introduces us to the powerlifters dialed in and determined to compete.
A quick warm-up before Joyce Hansen loads more weight. She starts light and goes from there, training for something big.
I'm training to stay out of nursing home.
The 89-year-old found her passion for powerlifting in her golden years.
That was good. I love it.
First inspired by her daughter and granddaughter to get stronger. That was 12 years ago.
It has increased my bone mass to the point where I don't need medications for osteoporosis. For me, that's the biggest reward.
She may be the oldest lifter in the gym at Mackey Physiotherapy, but she's not the only senior of the group.
So these are probably about a quarter of the weights we do when we're actually trying to build strength.
Barry Gay is 80. When he first started last year, he couldn't even lift the bar.
You leave after a hard workout thinking, wow, I did stuff I didn't know I could do.
Kelsey Goodmanson trains powerlifters of all ages. It's a sport that she says builds confidence just as much as muscle.
What these two are doing is a perfect example that you should be doing something like this too. And not only you should, but you can.
Right now, Joyce and Barry are busy preparing for a competition. They'll be scored on 3 lifts: squats, bench press, and deadlifts. But success for them looks a lot different than winning.
People used to think living long was the goal, but I think living long and living well is way more important.
And in a way, feeling their best is just as good as setting a personal best.
I'm just working out to feel good, but I'll tell you, with the meet coming up Saturday, I have really been pushing it.
Raising the bar as high as it will go. Allison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Well, before we go, let's take one more look at the weather this hour. Tomorrow, big game for the Toronto Raptors. Yeah, Jurassic Park, that's going to be rocking. Tip-off is around 1 p.m., and it's shaping up to be a pretty nice day. Plenty of sunshine. You may need a light jacket. We'll be sitting at around 13 degrees at 2 p.m. Currently, 10 degrees, so we're still in the double-digit territory. Here's your tomorrow at a glance. A high of 14 degrees. Normal for this time of year is 15. Doesn't look like we're going to be getting any wet weather. That we'll say hello to on Tuesday, Wednesday, and possibly on Thursday. So keep that in mind. But for the next 2 days, plenty of sunshine. Sean.
Got to think the Raptors can tie it.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Be sure to join us tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For all of us at CTV News, thank you for watching. Have a good night and see you at 11:30.